Now, in their 6-3 decision, the justices struck down a New York law requiring people to demonstrate a particular need for carrying a gun in order to get a license to carry one in public. The justices said the requirement violates the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. The ruling is expected to ultimately allow more people to legally carry guns on the streets of the nation's largest cities, including New York, Los Angeles, Boston, and elsewhere. Watch.
This decision isn't just reckless, it's reprehensible. It's not what New Yorkers want. And we should have the right of determination of what we want to do in terms of our gun laws in our state. The insanity of the gun culture that has now possessed everyone all the way up to even to the Supreme Court.
All right, so Kayleigh, the issue that Governor Hochul has wrong is that the Second Amendment is not about it's not about like adding a constitutional right to citizens. It's about the restricting the government's right to dilute that constitutional right that citizens already have. So when Governor Hochul there says that she's going to fight harder and that this is the wrong ruling, she's not seeing the Constitution for what it is.
No, Governor Hochul, you don't have a right to trample on the Constitution. Go back to law school. Basic con law would teach you that, but apparently, I don't know if she didn't take it, whatever the issue was. Page 9 of this opinion, Justice Thomas has the key point. This is a huge win, as you noted, Emily, for the Second Amendment and the Constitution. We hold that when the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. To justify its regulation, the government may not simply posit that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, you have to find that it's embedded in history. Okay, history is the key word of this opinion, and this is going to be a theme we're going to see emanate today. And if that Dobbs opinion, the leak, turns out to be true, you're going to see it again. Because in that opinion, Alito says essentially the same thing. History is counter to everything that Roe said. So in this case, you can't take away the Second Amendment, especially when history is not on your side. And if Dobbs turns out to be true, you can't also invent a constitutional right that is totally ahistorical. Really interesting. But what this boils down to, Emily, last point, is that the New York law says that you have to find a proper cause for concealed carry. So where 43 states just say you have to tick off these boxes, prove you're a law-abiding citizen, 6 other states said, no, you have to go this extra mile. Interestingly, even saying that you are in a high crime jurisdiction, that your life's at risk, that perhaps you could be the victim of gunfire, which, by the way, we cover on the show each and every day, the number of children who have been killed at just backyard barbecues here in New York. Even if you say I'm in a crime-ridden neighborhood, that's not enough to qualify for your Second Amendment right to conceal carry. So that's what this boils down to, Emily, how marvelous and just totally aconstitutional it is that a state can say, sorry, can't protect your family. We know the Constitution says otherwise. We don't care about the crime in your neighborhood. Not anymore on this watch of the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. This decision was so sound. And one of the fundamental things coming out of it as well was Justice Thomas saying that the constitutional right to bear arms is not a second-class right. He said it's been treated as such by the government, by New York State for so long. And it's not second-class to the other Bill of Rights, which is why he found this violated the 14th Amendment. Harris, the White House has weighed in. They've released a statement, in part quote from President Biden. This ruling contradicts both common sense and the Constitution and should deeply trouble us all. In the wake of the horrific attacks in Buffalo and Uvalde, as well as the daily acts of gun violence that do not make national headlines, we must do more as a society, not less, to protect our fellow Americans. I remain committed to doing everything in my power to reduce gun violence and make our communities safer.
And there it is.
Totally missing the point, Harris.
That's what's happening with Governor Hochul. Her comments broke last hour, and so we had the opportunity to talk with Elise Stefanik from New York, Congresswoman, who actually, was there. She's been the voice and the proponent and signed some of the documents along the journey of this gun bill in the state of New York, which is critical because what she says is what's happening is a flex, right? The last sentence of what you read from the White House on behalf of the President of the United States is that they're looking for ways to answer the call of gun rights legislation. They want to show the public going into the midterm election year that they've done everything that they can. Hochul's going to run for that seat that was vacated by the bad-acting Cuomo, right? She's got to show that she has the right to do that and the ideas to do that. And as she said in her statement, the fight to do that. The problem is it doesn't go hand in hand, as Kayleigh explained, with what the law actually says. So now what the law says, you don't have to jump through hoops to try to get the same permit. You still have to get a permit for that gun, conceal and carry. But now it's just easier to do so per what the Constitution had intended. And really what New Yorkers must want. Hochul will find that out. She'll find out that the crime does matter. And while it may not be a predicate for whether or not you can qualify that for a reason to get a gun and conceal and carry, it certainly is the reality for so many people who live in this state.
That's right. And Kennedy, and yet we continue to hear from the mouths of these government officials that their right, that the presumptive and preeminent right is that of the government to limit our already existing right. And arguably, the Second Amendment, it acknowledges that pre-existing right. It affirms it, and it also affirms the government's limits on encroaching upon that right. Governor Hochul and others continue to get that wrong. She said, in part, we have a full screen we'll put up. Now anyone can, it's a SOT, stand by.
Supreme Court struck down a New York law that limits who can carry concealed weapons. Does everyone understand what a concealed weapon means? That you have no forewarning, that someone can hide a weapon on them and go into our subways, go into our grocery stores, like stores up in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from, go into a school in Parkland or Uvalde.
And Kennedy, part of what I was referencing was a tweet from the governor that said how the Supreme Court has recklessly struck down a New York law that limits those who can carry concealed weapons. Yeah. Again, she continues missing the point that it's not about the government's right to do so. It's about what the preservation of the government's limit on how they can do so.
Yeah, negative rights versus positive rights. But you're right to point out that this has been so nonsensical on the part of local government here in New York, because you can never meet the threshold for personal danger in order to be able to defend yourself. So a single woman who's being stalked by her ex-boyfriend could still be thwarted in pursuit of protecting herself with a firearm. Someone who has a long walk through a neighborhood that's a high crime area, you know, unless you prove, like, hi, 911, yes, there's someone with a knife. Can I please get a gun from it? That's not how those things should work. And yes, we are out of balance in this country. And what people like Governor Hochul never admit is the guns are already out there. They are there. People who are obsessed with them will get them illegally, and they will kill people indiscriminately. That's not who this law is trying to protect. This is trying to aid families who want some form of self-protection. So the vulnerable people in their family at least have some layer when the police response is longer, active community policing is going down, homicide and shootings are going up. They're skyrocketing in places like New York and Los Angeles. So good people who want to defend themselves now may be one step closer to doing that. Prohibition won't work. They are already out there.
That's right, Chris. A perfect example is what happened in May when Frank James was on the subway. Mass shooter left dozens injured, including undetonated bombs. So when the governor tries to delineate somehow between law-abiding and not, or not delineate, lump them all in together, this is exactly what the Supreme Court is addressing right now, that if you are a law-abiding citizen, this is your inalienable right to carry and conceal upon getting that license, because as Kennedy is pointing out, the bad actors are going to act badly regardless of the law, but it's the law-abiding citizens that deserve their constitutional rights protected and ensured.
Yeah, and first off, happy birthday to Justice Clarence Thomas, who wrote this excellent opinion released on his birthday. Yeah, everything she said is completely false. The governor said, one, if it was common sense, then why would 43 other states have shall issue permits? New York is one of a minority of states that may issue, and that's made it so that in this state, unless you're a celebrity or an ex-cop, effectively you're not going to get a gun. And just exactly what Kennedy was saying, it doesn't matter if you're a battered woman. I mean, Justice Alito explicitly asked one of the lawyers for the state, listen, if I work a night shift, I'm a janitor, and I'm walking through the most dangerous neighborhood in New York City where people get mugged all the time, is that a reason can I get a permit? And the lawyer said, no, you couldn't. So it's not about safety, it's not about common sense. And happy birthday, Justice Thomas.